Welcome everyone to Water Within Astrology. I'm Carly and I'm here to talk to you guys about the Leo full moon happening on February the 12th. It's happening at 8:53 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please excuse the loud highway behind me. There's a beautiful park right by my house and I love it so much, but it's very hard to actually find a very quiet spot away from the highway and away from people. And this is as close as I could come to finding an isolated and secluded spot for us to talk. So anyways, without further ado, this full moon is happening on Wednesday, and Wednesdays are ruled by the sign or the planet Mercury. And it just so happens that we have this full moon occurring right when Mercury is leaving the heart of the sun, which is also known as a cazimi in astrology. It means Mercury and the sun were at the same degree point in this case, Aquarius. And this happens quite often because Mercury is a fast-moving planet and we see it make 2 times revolution around the sun each year. So that's why we have Mercury retrograde so often. And we also, after the retrograde ended, which we just had it end a little bit ago, we always have this moment where the sun and Mercury meet up. And every planet goes through this cycle. It's not so much of a commonly talked about occurrence, but it does happen a lot. And what happens when a planet comes close to the sun is we call it the cazimi, which means in the heart of the sun. And we also call the time before and the time after that it's moved away from that exact degree point as a combustion time, which means the planet itself is getting burnt up by the sun's rays because it's so close. And we also experience that planet being a little bit more, so it's not working at its top ability. It's a little bit debilitated in that way when it comes in contact with the sun. So funny enough too, we also have a few little technical difficulties with this video so far. I forgot my phone stand, so that's why you guys are on the ground and I'm looking down at you a little bit. And I also brought my new microphone, but it was not charged. So we're going old school, phones on the ground, propped up against a tree, and no microphone today. So anyways, when we have a full moon, every time we have a full moon, the sun is exactly opposite the moon in the opposite sign. So because we have the sun in Aquarius, we are seeing the moon in Leo. And Aquarius is an air sign, Leo being a fire sign. Both of them are fixed signs. So when we have opposite signs, they're always going to be the same modality, but different elements. Just a fun fact there. Modality meaning fixed, cardinal, or mutable. And so when we have fixed signs like this, it means we're in the middle of a season. We just celebrated midwinter on February the 2nd. We have 6 more weeks of winter according to Puxatani Phil. I want to thank you all so much for letting me take off of the last video because I went on vacation. I had my boyfriend's birthday. I was feeling very socially drained because Pluto in Aquarius, if you know, you know. And so I was really grateful to give myself permission to take that last new moon in Aquarius off from making videos, even though the themes and everything was like so perfect and so in alignment with the energies as it always is. It's not like I actually took off anything, right? Like it all still happened and worked its way into my life. So anyways, I'll kind of be talking a little bit about the new moon as well as this full moon because we need that context. The new moon is the beginning of a cycle. and now we're here at the culmination point. And so this culmination point could really be asking us to deal with themes of that new moon, and whatever happened for us during that time. Aquarius is all about authenticity. It's about breaking social norms. It's about rebellion for the sake of the good of the whole, right? It's very associated with the community and what's good for everyone. It's because it's also ruled by Saturn. It's good with making rules that serve everyone, even though inherently when we think of rules, we don't think of that being something that benefits us. It can when it comes to Aquarius. And the other ruler of Aquarius is Uranus, which is that sudden, shocking revelations, Kundalini energy, lightning striking, energy coursing through. And it can be very shocking and sudden and abrupt. So what we do also see with this full moon, it's funny, it's like we never see one without the other when we're working with axis like this. We have a square to the sun and the moon from Uranus happening at this full moon. And what that means is we're working with that Uranian energy, and we're also working with the Mercury energy. So maybe with the Uranus and the Mercury together, working right with this full moon, we could be getting sudden, shocking messages about what's going on. We could have certain information come to light that's shocking and causing us to, perhaps make different changes, because Leo's a fire sign. We're taking action, and it's required that we take action in order to live more authentically and take action on behalf of our own personal selves, to take care of ourselves, and that can look like rebellion. So there you have it right there with the Aquarius piece. And I want to talk about one more transit that's happening with the full moon itself. We have the sun is making a sextile to Chiron, and the moon is making a trine, and sextiles and trines are both beneficial, harmonious transits. So what that could mean is that whatever shocking messages that we are receiving, it could have a lot to do with where we've been stuck and where we've been working with a wound in our life, and working with a wound that technically we never will actually heal, because it's our job in this lifetime to work with that wound and to learn from it and to help others learn from it as well, to become the wounded healer is Chiron. And Chiron is in Aries, so very much to do with the self. Aries and Leo, both fire signs, and both signs that kind of take no shit type of energy. So if that resonates, maybe seeing where the energies are working for you and getting real with yourself about where you need to heal. And that's what all these full moons, new moons, any of it is about helping us to see where we need to heal. And the energies are showing us exactly what we need to see. So trusting in that process and really putting our ego down, right? Especially with the Leo, because Leo can very much be associated with the ego in its unhealed state. So it's, like I said, a fixed fire sign. It's associated with the symbol of the lion. And Leo is the king of the jungle. Leo's ruled by the sun, baby. The sun, hate to break it to everybody, but it is the center of our solar system. Hence why they call it a solar system. And so Leo has that energy. it can carry itself like I am the center of attention. I am the center of the universe. The key is to figure out how to carry yourself with that knowing, because we all are. All of us are gods. All of us are the main character of our lives. All of us are the shit if we choose so to believe it. And we all have Leo in our charts somewhere. Even if we have no placements or anything there, we still have it in our chart. We have to figure out how to understand that we are the shit without making other people feel like they're not. And without making it seem like we're arrogant. Because arrogance is definitely one of the big things for Leo. I am actually pausing here because I know that I came out here all bundled up because it's gonna snow here tomorrow, so I'm over here thinking it's freezing, but it's actually like kind of hot. I'm sitting right directly in the sun, and so don't underestimate the power of the sun even when it's the middle of winter, literally midwinter. And I think it's really interesting too that we had the new moon occurring at the beginning of the month, and we also had a beautiful part of pagan the pagan belief system called the Wheel of the Year, which was celebrated, and it's called Imbolc, and that is associated with a goddess named Brigid, who she is this fiery, life-bringing metalsmith. She's associated with the flame of creativity. She's associated with so many things that have to do with Leo. And so we had that seed planted at Imbolc, and now we're seeing this culmination point. So maybe we're feeling a little bit more of Brigid's presence. Maybe we're feeling a little bit more of an ability to embody her in our lives. If she's someone you work with and resonate with, feel free to do your own research there and look into her if that is resonating. And now we're seeing also this is happening 2 days before Valentine's Day, and Leo is associated with the heart. And so I just think it's hilarious that we have two of these like non-astrology events happening on the either side of this full moon, and they're all kind of sort of together. So the thing about Leo being a lion is that the lion, as we all know, is the king of the jungle. No debate there. That's just how it is. Nobody's out here voting on whether or not the lion is the king of the jungle. It just is, right? And it has never had to prove itself. It has never had to come up against something to fight for that spot. There's nothing that can, right? Because at the end of the day, the lion is the lion, and it's like the sun in the way that its presence alone demands respect. It is a powerful presence, an undeniably powerful presence, and the lion is known for a few things, including its loud roar. And we see this Mercury Kazemi, so maybe that could be working with us one way or another. Maybe we're feeling disempowered around our ability to speak our truth and let our roar be heard, or we're feeling like our roar has been suppressed for far too long, and now we're here to stand on the soapbox and speak our truth authentically, no matter what. But it takes a lot of courage to do that, right? And Leo is known for its courage, and even though we have this icon in pop culture, the cowardly lion in The Wizard of Oz, we all know that courage is associated with lions. We all know that it's going to take something really scary to scare a lion. And unfortunately, what we have seen now in this world is that humans are the thing that is scary to these powerful animals that are rightfully supposed to be at the top of the food chain. But now we have, we've cheated our way to the top of the food chain, we have thrown everything out of balance. Anyways, that's its own tangent for another time. I just want to say that it does take a lot of courage to be authentic. Courage, the Leo aspect, and authenticity being the Aquarius aspect. And so, are we going to step up to the plate? Are we going to hear our own inner voice, Mercury? And are we going to create action, Leo, in our daily life, Mercury, to be more authentic, Aquarius? And so I think that's going to be the big overall message. We're going to get into a bunch of other details too. I do want to talk about Regulus, which is the heart of the lion. It's a fixed star. It's also known as Alpha Leonis. And it is located right now in the sky at 29 degrees of Leo. 29 degrees being the last degree, being also known as the anaretic degree, the degree point that packs the biggest punch. And we're being asked to come back to the heart. This sun and moon, full moon, is occurring at 24 degrees. So you can look in your chart and see where you have 24 degrees, see if you have any angles or aspects, or if you do have 24 degrees of Leo in your chart, really paying attention to that as well. And I can help you to look at your chart as well. So just let me know in the comments if you would like that. We're being asked, because this full moon is going to continue on through the degrees from the 24 degree point, this full moon is going to keep going and going until it hits that 29 degree mark where Regulus is the heart of the lion. And that might be when, after this full moon, when we really come back to the heart. And when we realize perhaps we've been away from the heart. Perhaps we can realize where we've been blocked from that in our own lives, where we felt cut off from our hearts. And where perhaps we have been longing to feel that connection in others and feel that through others. Instead of feeling it for ourselves, perhaps we've been using others as a means and a way for us to connect with anything. If we don't have that connection to others or to ourselves, then we might seek that out in others, and that can be really toxic and upsetting for your relationships, because you've heard it said a million times, you have to love yourself first before you can love others. And if we are seeking for connection and love and attention from a place of lack within ourselves, it can pretty easily be seen. It can pretty easily be felt. And it's not authentic. Hate to break it to you. And we'll see that sometimes with the unhealed Leo is there's a tendency to have to get angry, to get too fiery, to let the fire burn too hot. It can burn people. It can become a temper tantrum, because Leo is also associated with children and childlike behavior, and that can be the healed version as well. We're encouraged with the healed Leo to lean into that childlike wonder and that curiosity and that playfulness and that joy and that laughter and that good feeling, and that feeling of warmth and that feeling of being nurtured and feeling safe enough to shine your own light, in fact. And that's what the Cancer full moon last month was about figuring out how to make ourselves feel safe, so that now once we get to this point with the Leo full moon, we actually feel safe enough to shine the way that we were designed to. And so that's what the sun does best. It shines and it generously gives its light. It nourishes everything that it touches, and it also can be intense. It can also burn, just the way that our anger can burn people. So just like with everything, there's a balance. Leo is the king of the jungle, like I said, and so it's very much associated with royalty, sovereignty. It's associated with knowing oneself, and about how there's a healed way of being a leader, and then there's the arrogant way of being a leader. And we want to be a leader that a good king would take care of the whole, and it would address issues that doesn't just affect it. It's not going to just look at what's affecting its personal situation. It's going to look at the situation from the state of the whole, and it's going to do what it has to do. It's going to take action to bring everybody in, and so that everyone can feel safe, everyone can feel protected. Leo is definitely associated with protection. Think of a mother lion and what would happen if you were to think about hurting her cubs. She's not going to let that happen, and she's going to fight back, as we should when we're threatened. And there's a difference between a real threat that we're experiencing. A real lion actually is what they say in my meditation class, because our caveman mind was designed to actually perceive danger in the form of a lion, and we now have this way of working with the mind where we might think that we're being threatened, and our mind might create a scenario that makes us actually think that there's a lion outside and we need to protect ourselves, we need to go into fight or flight, we need to, when actually there's no real problem. We've created that problem, and we've created our own lion, essentially. So we really need to be aware of that and realize, like, our minds can play tricks on us, and it can take us into places that aren't real. And inherently, we all have this birthright to enjoy life and to feel pleasure and to feel good and to feel seen and to feel loved and to feel recognized by the whole, by the group, and feel part of the group. And then there's all these other things that might come in that stand in the way of us feeling that inherent birthright of feeling good and feeling pleasure. Just remembering that that's our birthright. That's always there. No one can ever take that away from us, no matter what mind games we're playing on ourselves or what mind games are happening out there to try to tell us that we aren't safe. And while there is so much going on in the world to feel unsafe about, when we can practice coming back to our own center, our own heart center, and our own sense of safety, that we have taken the time to understand our needs, to understand what we need to do in order to self-regulate, in order to protect ourselves, no one can take that from us. truly, at the end of the day, no one can take that from us. And that's not to belittle anything that's happening in the world. I am fully aware that we are living in some really, really, really just scary times. And that's why Leo is also about empowerment. It's not about making yourself powerful and ruling over and being this king that just like looks down on everyone. It's about being this king and this example that can then empower other people to also embody and to also rise up and find their highest potential, to find their regality, to find their sense of sovereignty. Because we all deserve that. We all deserve that. And it can be so difficult to be that example. It can be so difficult to have the courage to live that way in this world where a lot of things are working against that. A lot of things are trying to do the exact opposite, which is disempower, and to tell you that you're not good enough, and to tell you that you need this product to buy because then you'll be empowered, then you'll be happy, then you'll be blah blah blah, you know. So don't let anyone try to sell you your own happiness. Don't let anyone try to sell you your own ability to be sovereign and to be well. I did want to talk about the sun, as in the ruling planet of Leo, versus Mars, which we have also. Both of these planets are associated with heat, and they're associated with masculinity. And I wanted to distinctly point out the differences between these two planets. Both, yes, are associated with masculinity and action and penetrative energy, basically taking action, being direct. And we see the difference is Mars is that get up and go motivation, and the sun is more about like, I know who I am and I'm doing it, whether I'm taking action or not taking action. I am just this embodiment of. And so while Mars, you know, we think of Mars and we see the red planet, and we think of war, and we think of anger, and we think of selfishness, and we think of toxic masculinity or whatever else might come to mind. But we think of the sun, even though they're so similar, we can think of the sun and we don't think of any of that stuff. We think of warm summer days by the beach, and we think of, you know, the plants growing in the sunshine, and we think of you know, just good feelings, really, like coming together out in the sun. Once the sun comes out, everybody comes out of their houses, no more isolation, and we're all together again. And we can think of them as similar, and we can think of them in terms of the masculine, and we can reframe what it means to be a man or a masculine person in this world, or to work with masculine energy, because we've also had a long stint of people just straight up condemning men, especially nowadays with all of what's going on, rightfully so. But we cannot altogether condemn men and masculinity and any of that stuff, because that's not fair. And just like with all of the zodiac signs, we have masculine and feminine within us, because each sign has its own gender, whatever, if you want to use that word, or it has its own energetic frequency, which either falls in the masculine or the feminine archetype. So please don't get confused. this really is not about gender. It's about, I am talking about healing the masculine, the toxic masculine, but that's in all of us. And I think as a collective, we do need to look at how we have treated men, you know, biological men, and how we have, in a way, done what they've done to us, back to them, and whether or not that's the way to handle our own hurt, and a way for any of us to heal what is clearly a big issue that we're faced with as a collective right now. So anyways, I just wanted to point out that distinction with the Sun and Mars, because I believe that the masculine is here to protect, it's here to nurture, it's here to, or rather not to nurture, it can be nurturing, that's more of a feminine thing, but it can protect, and it can use its strength to stand up when things start to go awry, and it can use its direct action and its ability to take action to really, at the end of the day, protect, and to protect itself, and to be strong enough to not be afraid of what other people say is masculine and feminine. Any of these like boxes that any of us are kept in because of society. For instance, if you don't eat meat, then you're not a man. How much courage would it take to be a man and then to advocate for animals at the same time, to protect the animals? Just saying, just one example. It takes guts, it takes strength, and it takes tenacity to be able to hold that too, because it's that ridicule doesn't just happen one time. That ridicule comes a lot in that situation. Anyways, not trying to keep making this about veganism, even though that's just kind of my thing. I just see the similarities and the holes in the ethics so clearly, at least. I hope that makes sense to somebody out there. So what we're working with Leo is we're working with the solar plexus chakra. That is the strength chakra. That's the willpower. That's the tenacity. That's the endurance. That's longevity. That is strength. It's associated with the strength card in the tarot. And I wanted to also talk about how Aquarius is the star card in the tarot. And these cards can really be so, like I've already said before, so connected. Because in order to be the star, in order to step into your authentic star-like qualities, the star that's regal and royal and whatever, you have to have a significant amount of strength to do that. And I think it's also interesting that we see it working both ways, because the sun is this, bright, shining center of attention thing you can associate with a performer on stage. But to be a good performer, you also have to have hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of isolation in practice. Isolation where no one else sees you. Maybe it's not complete isolation. Maybe you're working with a trainer or a teacher or whatever. But you're not performing yet. You're not being seen by the audience yet. You're being trained. You're using discipline, and that's Saturn. That's the Aquarius aspect of it. So just knowing that if you felt super isolated or you felt super disconnected during this Aquarius season, perhaps that's what you needed to do in order to step out onto the stage and really perfect your skill, and to really do that due diligence around practicing for your moment on stage, your moment in the spotlight. So maybe this is a identity crisis, because Leo is definitely associated with the self, like I've said, and so is Aries, and with that Chiron aspect, it's supporting us. Maybe we're having a good identity crisis. Maybe we're having a moment where we really are able to understand logically who we have been up to this point, because Mercury is that logical. I really had a moment where I was thinking about these themes, and I thought of the different ways that we could say confidence, essentially, because Leo is associated with confidence. And I thought about the words self-esteem, and about how Leo is the self, and esteem is this word that means respect and admiration. And I thought that was very, very perfect, more so than the other words to describe what we're working for, because when we hold ourselves in high esteem, we're not willing to accept less than we know we deserve. When we hold ourselves in high self-esteem, we are, in a way, holding ourselves as sovereign beings, and we're holding ourselves as royalty in our own lives. So let's play with that. Think about how we are respecting and admiring ourselves, and how that looks in the way we take action, and how we show up in the world, how we show up in groups in our community, because that's the Aquarius part. We are seeing this full moon be the last full moon before we enter into eclipse season, because we have next, in a couple weeks, the new moon in Pisces. And as we know, or as I have said, in January 11th, we had the North Node move into Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, the sign of spirituality, the sign of illusions, the sign of dreamy, imaginative, fantasy, disillusionment, as well as illusions. And so what we might see happen over the next month or so is yet to be seen, but just know that eclipses are felt 6 weeks before and 6 weeks after the time of the eclipse, so we're technically already in it. Any changes now that we're experiencing are for our own good, and they are said to be fated, and they are said to be realigning us with our true north if we are off course. And so just trusting in that, trusting and surrendering, big one for Pisces. And knowing that this Leo energy is associated a lot with transformation, hugely with transformation. Fire is the most transformative element, because when you set something on fire, it was one thing, and then you set it on fire and it becomes something else. It becomes ashes afterwards. It transforms. And it's always changing. A flame is never actually still. Even if it is perceived to be still, it's never still. It's always alive, moving. And the relationship that fire and air have with each other, it's really interesting. I was thinking about it, because fire is Leo, air is the Aquarius. If you have too much air, you can blow that flame straight out. But if you fan a flame real nice and easy, and you give it just enough of the air before You know, you don't want to snuff it out, and you don't want to blow it out. So you fan it just enough with that air, and you get more flames. You get a bigger flame. You get smoke. And smoke is a really cleansing and also toxic, equally toxic and cleansing element. I could talk about my relationship to smoke, but I think I'll just save that. If you're someone out there who is struggling with the way of the world and you're using smoking as a coping mechanism, I feel you and I encourage you to stop smoking. And that is from someone who has smoked for 13 years of her life and is finally paying the Pied Piper around that dirty habit. And I am having to surrender. I'm having to give up what brings my ego happiness and brings my ego some sort of sick satisfaction around like feeling so cool and rightfully, you know, jaded, and like whatever other associations I made subconsciously to why I smoked for so long. And so that's my loving encouragement to please stop. I'm not saying you have to stop everything altogether. Find another way. There's other ways to consume things. Not that I'm advocating for the consumption of things, but smoke is not supposed to be in your lungs. That's I'm gonna get down off my soapbox now on that one. So, and when we love ourselves enough, last thing I'll say, when we love ourselves enough, we're willing to make those types of changes that might be super uncomfortable, that might be breaking years of habit. But by golly, we love ourselves enough to do the hard things that in the long run will benefit us. So that's that. 2025 is the year of the snake. Speaking of transformation, speaking of letting things go that are no longer serving us. We're shedding old skins. It's a 9 year. If you add up the numbers 2025, you get a 9. 9 is the last single digit number before you get to 10. It signifies endings, and it signifies completion. We also have, not only is it a 9 year and a year of the snake, both associated with changing and ending, we have the North Node in Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac. It couldn't get any more associated with endings, guys. And one more little thing about numerology that I noticed is Leo is the 5th sign, and it also is associated in some tradition with the 5th house. 5 is associated with change. It's the midpoint, and there's no going back. All there is forward, and 5s signify that you're moving away from the earlier parts of your journey. Not lower, let's not say that. From the more immature parts of your journey and moving into the big leagues. And that's the thing, guys. We didn't come here to play small. We didn't come here to water ourselves down. We didn't come here to wear masks so that we could fit in with society, so that we never had to rock the boat, so that we could never feel understood by others because we never had the guts to speak our truth and to speak our authentic convictions about things. We just straight up did not come here for any of that. So shine your light. Try not to blind anyone. Try not to be an arrogant asshole about it. Pardon my language. But know that you came here with talents, and you came here with gifts, and you came here to bring those for your own personal journey and for the journey of others as well. And I just want to say a couple more things. Pretty much already covered everything, which is awesome. Oh, yeah, so you might have heard about this saying, the lion and the lamb. And what is said in the Bible is one day when Jesus comes, the lion will lie down with the lamb. And so that to me says, how can we honor each other's differences without killing each other over it, right? It's not a competition. This person is not your enemy, and we've experienced so much polarity that we can be imagining these false lions a lot, and we can be ready with a sword in hand pretty much 24/7 if we're not careful. And that's exactly where these mind games that are working on a collective level are wanting for us to be, in that state of fight or flight, in that state of policing each other, policing ourselves, just making everyone our enemy, instead of coming together and standing up for what we know is inherently our right. And so when the lion lies down with the lamb, that'd be an awesome day. That's all I'm saying. And I think Leo is about moving from the lamb to the lion in a way too, because the lamb, the sheep, whatever you want to call it, the sheep doesn't really think for itself. The sheep just kind of follows the herd, and it follows the shepherd, and it really never has its own thoughts. But the lion, he's out there like, let's go hunt. Let's find our way of existing in the jungle and find our own way, instead of just being at the mercy of whatever's around us, whatever's telling us what to do, whatever's whatever. Lion's not gonna take that lion down. Just saying. No pun intended there. A few different things that you can do for this full moon that I would absolutely recommend is glamour magic and wearing clothes that make you feel more empowered, make you feel more confident. I'm wearing my tiger skirt. I don't know if you can see it. I want to show you. Oh yeah, he's a tiger. Yes, no, he's not a lion, but that's as close as I got. I still feel it's relevant. And glamour magic can also look like makeup. It can look like infusing any of your tools for your daily routine with magic and with intention of sovereignty and of really whatever your intention is. For me, I got a new hairbrush, and it's sitting on my altar right now, getting ready to be infused with the full moon energy and with the magic that I choose to put in it. And I'm excited for that because, yeah, it's such a simple tool that I use every single day, but I wanted to just bring a little bit more magic into it, and I wanted to just acknowledge that even these mundane things can very, very much so be part of my magical practice. And the difference between using your glamour magic as a way of covering up your lack of confidence, or it can be used to boost your confidence, right? Like, it's pretty obvious. Actually, I was putting on this hat right before I got out here, and I was like, hats are like double-sided swords. It's either this thing that I use to cover myself up and to hide and to cover, or it's this thing that draws more attention to me, and it's this thing that, like, you know, is like my crown, my royal crown. And it's all about your intention, and it's all about, you know, really realizing where are we acting from a place of lack within ourselves, and we're reaching and we're grasping and we're, you know, begging even for attention, or are we just straight up like, I'm just gonna wear this today because it makes me feel good. I don't care how it makes anybody else feel. It makes me feel good. Not that it does, you know, not caring about what other people feel. That's not the point. It's not the point. Don't get it twisted. The point is to do what makes us feel good, and then hopefully giving other people permission just by witnessing us being authentic and being true to ourselves. We give other people permission to do the same. And we create a world where everybody gets to be themselves, and everybody gets to wear what makes them happy, and everybody gets to do what makes them happy, and gets to share their gifts and gets to share their talents, and we all get to witness each other and be the clapping audience and support system and all of that. I want that world. And I think that we're already well on our way there, if not already mostly there. So yeah. Oh, and candle magic. Of course, candle magic. I meant to say that when I was talking about Bridget. She is that creative spark, and candle magic is a great way to also celebrate this full moon. And so, that's it. I didn't bring my tarot or my runes, so once again, we'll be without that. Sorry about that, guys. If you do have any interest in working with me, my website is linked in the comment section below. If you have not already liked and subscribed to my channel, please, please, please do so. And I really appreciate you maybe even sending it to someone who you think it would resonate with. And I will be back again in 2 weeks for the new moon in Pisces. Thank you all so much. Bye.